Alright, so the previous videos I shot revolved around this fish tank. I redid the stand, which was a black lacquer prior. I redid it with a Rust-Oleum universal spray paint, the glossy white. Came out real well. I also redid the hood, which was a black plastic, I guess, and also used the Rust-Oleum universal silver metallic, as well as this picture frame above. And then in the previous video, I showed how I did a mirrored background. I used the Mylar paper. I had done a lot of research on it, so I wanted to share the results. You can check out the results of the Vivo Sun in the previous video. But this fish tank still has a black border. It's a black plastic border that you can see goes all the way around. And I had a couple options. One was to use that Mylar paper again, but in the end, given how much work it would have been, and it would have been very difficult to get it perfect. Plus, I kind of sized it up, put it up against there. It didn't look very nice. So I also had the option of using chrome pens, which I've used in the past. But as I mentioned in the previous videos, they tend to kind of, not smudge, but they kind of get dirty easily. They lose their shine. They can't really be cleaned, or even a wet towel will kind of mess it up. So that wasn't an option. In the end, I decided to go with acrylic paint pens. I did quite a bit of research on them as well, and wanted to share that with you here, so save you a little bit of time. Ended up choosing the Montana Acrylic water-based pens. By the way, just to mention, so I also wanted to use it. I have these computer monitors right next to the fish tank. One of them has a silver border, which I think looks nice, and next to the tank it should go well. These other screens have a black edge, a black border. I wanted to make them silver as well, metallic. And yeah, so these are the paint pens. They're made by Montana. They come in a standard size of 15 millimeters. That's the tip size. That should work well for these borders. And the other size is 30 millimeters, which I think will work well in that fish tank edging. As I said, it's water-based, but when it dries, it's supposed to be water-resistant and abrasive resistant, which I guess means you can clean them pretty well. First time using them. This isn't really a how-to. This is more of a let's see if it works, and if it does, hopefully I will have saved you a lot of time and effort, maybe a bit of money too. So I will meet you back here. I know I said I'm not going to make this a how-to, and I'm going to keep to that, but I just wanted to show you now that's all taped up, because there's no way I could do this freehand. I'm hoping that this was the most difficult part of the job. For whatever reason, the tape on top went on pretty easily. Getting that perfect edge was not a problem. Down below was a bit more tricky. But anyway, the idea is to use this 30 millimeter Montana acrylic paint pen. It's a little bit wider than the edge, which should work well, and yeah, just make some nice clean strokes. Let's see how it goes. So this is supposed to be a pump action pen. The only thing is, like, as it's coming out, it's not spreading evenly. Sorry, it's not spreading evenly over the tip. I feel like I'm wasting some of this paint. So I'm just, as it's pouring out, I'm spreading it over the tip myself. Just wanted to share that with you. By the way, I read the, as I was shaking this thing up, I read the instructions. It is waterproof. I think I said water resistant. Technically it's supposed to be waterproof. But yeah, I mean, spreading it on this tip isn't that easy. Now I'm dripping it everywhere. So, so far, not so great. Let's see what happens. Check back with you. Yeah, so that little drip that I had before, this is turning into a disaster because of the white desk. I'm trying to use women's nail polish to now remove it, and it's still got the remnants in there, as you can see. This is not coming off easily. I tried to water first, nothing. I'm into the nail polish. Trying to get this done before the wife comes home, because that's going to be a bigger problem. Alright, I'll check back with you. Alright, so I got most of that out. I use a second type of nail polish remover, and for the most part it's gone, the little remnants. I've moved on to the painting part. Color looks good. The only thing that's, I don't know if you can see, you can kind of see these little brush strokes. This is a foam tip, but you can still see the kind of the marks, I suppose, the strokes. So I'm thinking I'm going to have to go over this a second time to get rid of that, and I'll show you what that looks like afterward. But other side of that, it flows pretty easily. All right, stand by. So I just finished doing the edging, and I looked down, and sure enough, there's paint all over the floor. Obviously, I stepped in it, and obviously this stuff drips quite a bit. So just word to the wise, be careful. Let's hope that nail polish remover works again. Eesh. As you know, a lot of projects go smooth and others not so much. 20 Q-tips later, bunch of paper towels, that's only half of them. I was able to get most of this paint off the wood floors. My beautiful new painted stands, not so much. Just won't come out. I'm gonna have to retouch that. Obviously I'm not gonna use the Rust-Oleum spray paint in the house, so I'm gonna probably have to find an acrylic or some kind of glossy touch-up. So as I started showing you before, these paint strokes kind of shine through. This acrylic paint by Montana is supposed to work on any surface, plastic, wood, metal. This is a shiny plastic, and so far it's not dry yet, but it's still like, it shows the strokes. It's too shiny. I think it's not, the paint's not being absorbed by the material. This is what I believe to be the problem. I think it will help to put a second coat. We'll see, just how it dries. But yeah, the more I go over it, the worse it's getting. So it's not a matter of touching it up type of thing while it's half dry or whatever. Anyway, yeah, then I moved on to the monitors. Pretty okay. Gets a little difficult along the edges. I don't know if you can see, but I think that's going to come out pretty well. We'll see when it dries. All right, I'll check back with you tomorrow. I'm going to let this dry overnight and see what happens. All right, I'm back. It's about 11:30 in the afternoon. I finished this project. Well, I didn't finish, but I wrapped up last night around 7:30 p.m. So I thought this would be ample time for both items to dry. However, even though it's not tacky to the touch, if I just do that, it's basically smearing, or it's rubbing off. A little bit disappointed, but I'm going to give it the full 24 hours. It doesn't say how long it takes to dry, but I'm going to give it 24 hours to fully dry. Same thing happened when I rubbed the monitors. Those brush strokes I was talking about, they came through even when it's dry. And to be fair to Montana Paints, they didn't claim that you don't need a primer. Clearly on shiny plastic, you do need a primer. I was hoping to get away without using one, mostly because A, trying to get lucky, B, I guess I was spoiled in using that Rust-Oleum Universal spray paint on the stand, which I now have a new project to redo the touch-up from last night, and on the hood. But I guess lesson learned, you either need the primer or you're gonna have to do a second coat like I will, and we'll see how that comes out. These monitors came out amazing. In fact, I might do a separate video just detailing little tips and tricks that I use to get this done, but I'm really pleased with that. I don't know if it's not really coming out well in this light, but very happy with the results. I'm going to give it some time to dry. Oh, I wanted to clarify, I had been talking about the units of cells. I kept referring to this as 30 millimeters. This is actually 50 millimeters. The lip, or the edge on here is about 40 millimeters, and the edge on here was 15 millimeters. So as of last night, I was able to use one pen. Hopefully I didn't finish it all. Use the tank on 3 sides. I didn't do the back because nobody could see that, as well as the bottom. And then I did it on the 4 monitors, and so far so good. So let's let it dry, and we'll try this again. Talk to you soon. So as I'm trying to do the second coat, it's not working any better than the first time. In fact, it's actually just clearing the old paint. You see those black lines? That's the black plastic appearing underneath. So this is not good. Really no better off than I was the first go around. I'm just trying to touch it up anywhere there was black. Probably still going to see these stroke marks, but it is what it is. This was not the winner of a project. Yeah. Just gotta let it dry, and we'll see. This is nothing but frustration thus far. Great color though. Alright, I'm gonna let it dry and I'll be back to you. So rather than waiting a few days for the second coat to dry and then show you what the results were, I actually waited about at least 3 weeks. It's probably been maybe 3-4 weeks since I put that second coat on, and figured rather than showing it to you a few days after and then doing a follow-up 1 month after, I may as well just wait. So that's what I did, and unfortunately not much better results. You know, from a distance, this Montana Acrylic Paint came out, you know, looking okay, actually. No issues in terms of color or how it performed, but at the end of the day, I'm not going to do it from here, but just to show you a little sample, if I just take that, first of all, I just left the mark, that's bad, but you can see on this Q-tip, that paint comes right off. Sorry if it's not in focus. And I don't know if you guys remember this paper, but I kept it around for 3 weeks just for you. I did not throw it away. You know, here's a perfectly clean white swab, little quick thing, and sure enough, paint comes right off. Never dried on the paper, so it wasn't just an issue of the plastic from the tank, as I was hoping it would be, and it wasn't just a case of not using a primer. So yeah, disappointing from that standpoint. If you're using it on something that you don't have to touch or clean, you might be okay. I think I'm going to get lucky enough where I don't really have to touch this or clean this too much. And you know, I did the top with that spray paint that came out beautiful, by the way, and that's fine, no issues there. So that was the 50 millimeter Montana. By the way, so when I did the second coat, I never actually, after the first coat, I never replaced the tip. These tips are replaceable though. I never cleaned it. I just put it away. You know, put the cap back on, left it for a few days. Oh, tried it again, primed it. Never had an issue priming it. It didn't dry up or anything. I had the same issues as the first time in terms of it, you know, kind of leaking everywhere. If you know, when you prime it, it's coming out from either the sides or it's not coming out, like it doesn't disperse. The paint doesn't disperse across the applicator very well, and so yeah, it ends up being a bit messy. Yeah, if anybody else has had a different experience, I'd love to hear it, but it's hard to fully recommend this. I guess if you know all the caveats, then you know, good enough. But if you have any questions about the Montana Acrylic water-based marker, comment below and I will get back to you as soon as possible. If you like it, give it a thumbs up, and be sure to subscribe to learn some more tips, tricks, and hopefully save you some time, money, and frustration. Thanks, guys.